Good morning, guys. Happy Monday. It is the 23rd of March, 2026. Welcome to the Money Heist community. And this today is going to be the first of obviously every single day having a daily market outlook so that you guys can prepare for the markets. Obviously, if you guys are busy, you're at work, you're a busy parent, hopefully these recordings are going to help you with a little bit of mentorship before the day goes ahead. So without that being said, what we want to focus on first is understanding that the content inside of this channel, the content on this video is for educational purposes only. This is not financial advice, and I am not a financial advisor. So anything that I share should, not be considered financial advice. It is literally just educational, and only educational purposes only. So anything that I discuss on here, does not guarantee future results. So as long as you understand that, then we're all good. So with that being said, let's get straight into the charts and hopefully you guys can see my screen again. Yep, okay, amazing. So before we jump into the charts, I'm just going to quickly go over what's happening this week in regards to news. Obviously it's 23rd of March today, so we haven't really got any news at all, especially no red folder news. We just got New Zealand dollar later tonight, which is just orange folder news, nothing to worry about at all. Going into tomorrow, we've got a lot more heavier red folder news with Euro, Great British Pound, and the US dollar. So that's something that we can keep an eye on. Then going into Wednesday, a lot of red folder news in regards to the Australian dollar as well, and the Great British Pound at 8 a.m. And then Thursday, unemployment claims, which is obviously something that we defo keep an eye on. That is on Thursday at 1:30. And then Friday we have retail sales for Great British Pound. But yeah, that's pretty much it. So, something to keep an eye on today. Not much going on, but if you look at the likes of like gold, for instance, fundamentally with stuff that's going on, it is moving. So it's something to keep an eye on, obviously, definitely. But going into today, let me just move this stuff out of the way and let's see what's going on. As always, I'm going to start on the dollar and see what is happening. Daily time frame. You guys can probably already see that market has been, bullish. We've been creating them higher highs, higher lows, higher highs, higher lows, and higher high. So pretty easy to understand that we have this structural point here as our higher low, and this is our higher high. So as you guys may know or should know, when we, obviously trade, we want to see structure obviously met. And once we're inside of that new structure, which is a higher low and a higher high, we expect to pull back into some sort of imbalance or demand, which is this is our daily demand. We had imbalance here, and then we expect to go and create a new what? A new higher high. So I'm looking at this from a daily standpoint, saying, well, can we, go and create that new higher high? We're in this situation we're about here at the moment. So we got our higher high, higher low, higher low, higher high. We pull back, which is this pullback here. And now we're obviously about to potentially break that higher high, which is where the market is currently at. So looking at that, pretty clear to understand on the daily that we are bullish. Now, the one thing that stood out to me last week was, of course, we're in a weekly range. This is a weekly supply candle, weekly, lower high and weekly lower low. And what kind of stood out to me is the fact that we had obviously this higher high create, market pullback here, which was some imbalance. We then got this engulfing candle here, and then we failed to go and create a new higher high. And then we had this engulfing candle here, this big red one. So obviously, yes, we're still in that, that bullishness, that bullish range, but that just kind of like, are we going to look for sells from this daily supply now? And that was something that I was like, okay, what is going to be happening? Because at this moment in time, we're trapped between this demand and this supply. Now, if we drop down to the daily, just quickly though, priorities should be from a daily standpoint buyers, but you always got to understand that you want to predict what could potentially happen. Now, looking at the market currently, what can we see? So we can see that obviously from this perspective, market were very corrective. We had this pullback, which was the first pullback last week, which then mitigated this demand, but we failed to, like I said, go and create a new higher high. Now from there, market basically come into this supply and then dumped off. It dumped away, and then that obviously made us realize that okay, this is our new range from this lower high to this lower low on the 4 hour. Now, as you can see right now, what market has done is market's in this 4 hour sorry, let me just mark this out. Market's in this 4 hour supply area. Market is now what? It's taken out this high and it's slowing down a little bit. So, the way that I look at this and the way that I approach this is lower time frames, if we see some sort of shift, a break of a 1 hour higher low, we could look for shorts on the dollar. And supply could still be in control because this 4 hour supply area is still in control. Or on the 1 hour, if we're creating higher highs and higher lows, this could just be a little pullback on the 1 hour to go and hit a demand area and carry on upwards. So that is my two scenarios that I'm thinking of as we speak. So yeah, just to quickly go over, that is my 4 hour range from here to here. 4 hours short selling, daily is buying. So we have to keep in mind with that, of course. Now, looking at the one, what am I expecting? Well, the first thing that we have to identify is what's happened on the 1 hour. What's happened on the 1 hour? So let me just sort this out. Fuck off. So on the 1 hour, we can see that market has been, we're coming to this 1 hour demand area, which was unmitigated. We then have had, this area here where it's higher high, higher low, higher high, higher low. Where did that market come into? Filled in this imbalance, taps into this demand. We then got this bullishness away. We haven't pulled back into this demand, but we've been very corrective here. And you can see that market has been bullish on the one, which tells me that 1 hour is demand's in control. We are bullish on the 1 hour, even though the 4 hour is, obviously bearish. So if we mark out our demand areas here, you can see that this 1 hour demand area was where market pulled back into here. We didn't get a demand area pull back into this scenario here. We didn't get that. As you can see, market was carried on. But if you look at this scenario, you can see that market was pretty corrective. Pretty corrective where we have this 1 hour demand area, which it came out of. We pulled back, tapped in, gone again. What happened here again? We had this 1 hour demand area in control. Rinse and repeat. You can see market bullish, pulled back into this demand area, filled in the imbalance, gone again. Now what's happened here? Same scenario, this 1 hour demand area here. You can see pulled back, filled in that imbalance that we had, tapped into this demand, and now we're bullish. So what can I potentially be looking at for next? Well, where is my next demand area? My next demand area would be, you can have it from here, which would be my next 1 hour demand area, or you can have it extremely, refined to this 1 hour demand area here. So you can do it from the start of the imbalance, or as I said, you can have it from this consolidation stage here. So what's my thinking behind this? My thinking behind this is I'm expecting 1 hour to either stay bullish, or if we get a break of this 1 hour higher low, I'm expecting dollar to then potentially go back to bearish. Very, very key. Very key to understand. So that's what I'm keeping my eye on this morning. So hopefully you guys can see that as well. So that's what I'm going to leave with the dollar. Pretty easy to understand. Keep an eye out on that. Going into Euro USD, what can we see happening? So with Euro USD, you can see from structural standpoint that we're bearish here, lower low, lower high, lower low, and that is our range. That is our range from this lower high to this lower low. Pretty easy to see. Now, the one thing that's different about Euro USD is this 1 hour demand area, let me move this imbalance, is where the market's currently reacting from. That's where the market was unmitigated. We took out these lows, liquidity, liquidity, liquidity. We've tapped into this demand, filled in the rest of the imbalance. And then as you can see, market has, been pretty smooth sailing, moving up on from this area here, this demand area. So let me just move that. What can I expect? Well, the first thing I expect is you've got to understand that you've got to play the structural standpoint, which is we've got to look at having the bearishness first, which is from here to here, play out like this before anything else. The only thing you can potentially do is lower time frame longs. But the daily perspective has to first come from being bearish because of this range. Now, what's happened inside of this scenario right now? Well, inside of here, it's pretty identical to the dollar, where we've got this demand daily supply candle. We filled in this imbalance, and market has just, obviously come and fill back in this area here. Now, same as Euro USD, when we pull back, you can see it's been pretty corrective and it's created another demand area to potentially go bullish. But we have to understand that, like I said, this is our daily lower low, daily lower high. Going into the fall, what can we see? Can we see anything different as we speak? Well, from a 4 hour perspective, I don't see any supply areas that haven't been mitigated, that haven't been, utilized. We have obviously this 1 hour here that hasn't, but everything else has been pretty corrective. There's no large imbalances inside this market, to understand why we should be selling from. But if you're playing off the fact that we're inside of that daily supply, that's a big enough reason why we can obviously look to short from. So if we look at this, we're reacting at that daily supply. Now, 4 hour, you can see that we have a 4 hour bullishness range. We've got this 4 hour higher low and this 4 hour higher high. We have this imbalance here and this 4 hour demand area. So if we're expecting potential longs from the US dollar from here, that means we can expect potential shorts on EU from inside of this internal structure. Where would I be looking at getting out of or slowly taking my money off the table? Well, it would be inside of this imbalance into this demand area. So 4 hour, it'd be interesting to see if we're going to get, markets come down, then see how we react to see if we're going to go and carry on bullish or if we're just going to carry on, shorting. Is supply going to take control or stay in control, or is demand going to take control from this fall? Now, looking at the one, you can see that it's been pretty clean with the 1 hour supply. Looking at it from structure, you can see that the supply candle here was perfect. You can see we had lower low, lower high, lower low. We come back into this supply candle. We've melted off. Where did we come back into then? We come back into this supply candle. And now we're just slowly moving away. Where would be my next area that I would potentially look for? Well, it was most likely would be around this consolidation area here. 1 second. This consolidation area would probably be where I'd be looking to see if market does, come into this and carry on downwards. That's where we're looking at currently with your USD. Now, again, that does align potentially with the dollar coming into this demand area. But same scenario for Euro USD is, I'm not looking, this is obviously a demand area which is valid, but I'm more interested in this lower demand area. So for me, if this happens and we break above this high, I'm gonna have to see a double break, so break above this and a break above this in order to then try and participate in buys, just because I'm not 100% on any demand area where we are right now. If it was out of here, I'd be a lot more confident to take it. Hopefully that makes sense. But keep an eye out on this supply area. Now going into GBP USD, a little bit different to Euro USD. A little bit different, but still similar on the daily. As you can see, we have this demand area here, which is where the market is reacting from, unmitigated. But looking at the structure, you can see pretty clean. Like we have lower high, lower low, lower high, lower low, lower high, lower low, and we're inside of this range right now. We have a fresh, or did have a fresh supply candle here. We had some imbalance as well. So from a daily, we were to see pullback, which has happened to then go and create a new daily lower low, but also understanding that we are in this demand area. Now, as you can come at the see, we are moving away from this supply, but with this engulfing candle, we obviously created a new demand area as well. which was something to keep an eye on. Now going into the four, what can you see? Well, it's a little bit different, and this is where you guys um, have to understand it's a little bit tricky right now, the markets, because um, correctiveness were fine. Look at all these supply candles, which worked out absolutely spot on. We then got this bullishness, obviously from this demand area here. We have a new 4 hour range, which is this 4 hour higher low and this 4 hour higher high. Where are we currently at? Well, we're currently right now reacting from this demand area, this area of demand as we speak, where the imbalance is as well. So 4 hour could potentially just go and carry on bullishness, potentially. But again, that's if this 4 hour supply candle sticks. Also, and we stick to the bearishness on here. That is very, very key to understanding if you want to go bulls, on GBP USD. So 4 hour demand is in control. But if we look at the 1 hour, what can we see that's potentially a bit different? Well, with GBP USD, we can see that obviously right now we're getting a very big bullishness away from here. The last supply candle that was in control was this supply candle here. And as of right now, market has, obviously market's just took that high. That would have been a 1 hour supply candle around here. So it's took that high and now it's potentially, obviously took the high, reacting out the supply. Let's see what it does. If it's just going to carry on bullish, then obviously look for long. So again, GU and the dollar, well, dollar's in the demand right now, but GU, sorry, and EU are a little bit different because GU's took out the high already, whereas EU's just tapped into this supply. EU's just tapped into the supply, whereas GU's taking it a little bit, taking out the high a little bit more, sorry, bullishness a little bit more than EU right now. So depending on what the dollar does right now from where it's at, we could see this just carry on downwards. But again, from the supply, if we do go bullish and this candle in 35 minutes stays above, and it leaves a demand, we could expect, this to happen. But I will only be looking for GU buys, potentially if it makes sense on a dollar, but also if we have maybe two potential breaks, maybe the break of this high and then another break of this high, and then I'll probably be looking to long. But it just depends. I'm not saying that's 100%, it just depends. So yeah, that's EU, that's GU. Keep an eye out on these areas as we speak. NZUSD, I'm not interested in today. I do prefer, if you know me anyway, I do prefer the EUs and GUs over NU and AU. So I'm going to stick with EU and GU just today, and we'll see what's going on there. We'll also talk a little bit about USD CHF. USD CAD, I don't like the look of, if I'm honest. But USD CHF has been a little bit better, I guess. Looking at obviously the US dollar, it's quite similar, ish, if you want to say. It is quite similar. But yeah, let's break it down. So we're in a weekly range. We've got this weekly lower low. Let's just look at the weekly for a second. We obviously have this weekly, 1 second. We obviously have this weekly, yeah, this weekly lower high, this weekly lower low. We have a lot of imbalance. Markets pull back into this. We've actually tapped into this weekly supply candle. Let's move this monthly here. So again, obviously from a weekly, it's bearish. So you can see that we're in that weekly range. Going into now, looking at the daily, we have this daily supply and then this daily supply. But look at the structural internal daily structure. You can see that we are bullish. We've got higher low, higher high, higher low, and obviously higher high, higher low, higher high actually. So two scenarios is we've got this unmitigated demand area, but we also have created a new higher high here. So let me just move this. You can see where is market reacting from as of right now, this level of demand. You can refine it to the body if you want, but this daily demand area here. So Let's have a look at the four. You can see that 4 hour range as well, higher low, higher high. Currently in this demand area, and we're slowly reacting out of here right now. We're slowed down a lot. 4 hours obviously not, obviously the nicest looking. Sorry, my phone is going absolutely crazy. Um, yeah, it's obviously not as nice as we like to see here. It's consolidating, as you can see. Let's see if the 1 hour looks a bit better. Well, you can see that from the 1 hour, obviously we had this demand area here met. That's a 1 hour demand area. Then we have this 1 hour demand area. And obviously, as of right now, it's where we're currently at. I want to see if USD CHF for me to look for any sort of longs gives us another break. I want to see these highs taken and a candle closure before looking at anything, and then I'll potentially look for longing this up until at least a 1 to 3 or taking out this daily higher high. That's something I'm going to keep an eye on with USD CHF. Now, yeah, that's it for the majors. Looking at the cross pairs, let's see what's going on. I'm going to go into too much. As of right now, we are bullish on the AUD Japanese yen. We just tapped into this demand area, but you can see that the internal structure from the four will be bearish. We've just gone and created a new 4 hour range. So from here to here. So pretty corrective from a four. Can't see anything, obviously anything at all really from a 4 hour to come back into. There's no real imbalances or anything like that. Looking at from the 1 hour, again, it's just been fucking clean, if I'm honest with you guys. You can see that the supply candles have literally just been spot on. If you guys are new to supply and demand, trust me when I say, for me anyway, I'm not obviously, I'm going to be biased. It's my strategy and it's the way that I trade. I believe 100% it's the best strategy out there. I've done all smart money concepts. I've done all of ICT. I've done everything that I possibly can. Lower time frame, higher time frames. The way that supply and demand is broken down and works makes a lot more sense. I believe anyway. So there's nothing as clear as I'd like inside of here as of right now. Ideally, what I'd wait for to see happen is if we finish like this right now, and then we get another break, and it's a bit more cleaner like these ones here rather than this, then I'd probably look for shorts. But for me right now, let me look at the 2 hour. Yeah, nothing is clear as of right now for AED Japanese yen, but hopefully that makes sense. Look at the difference between here. Lower low, lower high, clean moves, clean structure. Here's very corrective. CHF Japanese yen. So daily is daily higher low, daily higher high. We've tapped into this 4 hour and daily demand area, had a beautiful reaction from this 4 hour, which is given a 1 to 3, I think it was pretty much. Yeah. If you would have had a better risk to reward, about 1 to 6. So pretty sweet. But again, what is a 4 hour doing? Well, 4 hours at the moment, you can see that we're inside this 4 hour supply area. This is a 4 hour lower high, 4 hour lower low. Um, so again, remember, daily's bullish. If you look, daily is bullish from this demand. Daily higher low, daily higher high. So you've got to prioritize the daily, but also understand that if the 4 hour is bearish, 4 hour supply is in control over the daily. The lower time, you have to have in order for the daily to be carrying on bullish right now, we need to see this broke. That would then confirm bulls, bulls, bulls. As of right now, we are slowing down. What can I see from a 1 hour? Well, from a 1 hour, you can see that market has higher low, higher high, higher low. Where do we come back into? Almost this demand area here. Just missed out, but we tapped into this. imbalance, created a higher high, tapped in, failed to go and create a new higher high. We then have had this break. Where's the market currently reacting from? Well, this is our last buy candle here, our last buy candle that caused this movement down. So we're reacting from this supply. What I'd be waiting for is if we get a break of this low and a fresh supply candle to then potentially look to short CHF Japanese yen. That's something to keep an eye on. CAD Japanese yen, let's see what's going on here. As of right now, we've reacted out of this daily demand area. If you want, let's refine this now to a body. So demand area, you can see that we've got this bullishness, but we're also understanding that the market as well, for me anyway, we're inside a supply area. I'm just going to keep my head understanding, and that we can actually go from the body here, understanding that that's what's happening. Same scenario as CHF Japanese yen, we're inside this 4-hour supply area right now. So 4-hour supply is in control. So that is in control as of right now. I'm expecting bearishness until we break that high. If you look at the one, what's going on? Higher low, higher high, higher low, higher high. 1 hour is still in control. Some of you guys who are completely new, you might be getting confused by going, well, what's in control, supply or demand? If the 4-hour is like this, then understand that inside that 4-hour, the 1 hour is like this. So in order for the 4-hour to stay bullish, for instance, we need the 1 hour to be bullish. In fact, I'll cover that tonight on the call tonight. I'll cover that tonight on the call. But yeah, this is my priority until we break. So what I'm expecting is either we carry on bullish, or if the market breaks this low, then I'll be looking to short CAD Japanese yen. Pretty simple. Euro AUD, what is going on at this moment in time? We're inside of this daily supply candle, but we are bullish. Looking at the 4-hour, 4 hours being extremely bullish. Of course, we can expect some of these imbalances to potentially be filled. Not as clean as I'd like. Yeah, I'm going to leave AUD USD because, sorry, Euro AUD because this has been very bullish. Euro CHF, let's see what's going on with her. Daily, not the cleanest. Not the cleanest at all. 4-hour. So what's happening at this moment in time is 4-hour demand. This hour, 4-hour higher low and 4-hour higher high. Let's mark that out. So that's our range. We're inside this demand, but also if you look, we have this 4-hour supply area here. So it's going to be interesting. So demand is in control because we have tapped into that and we are moving away. What does the 1 hour tell us? Anything different? Well, you can see that we are obviously extremely sideways at this moment in time. But for me, we've got a supply area here. You can see, look, market come back down, failed to go and create that a lower low. We've tapped back into this 1 hour supply. So as of right now, I'm going to wait to see a break of either this or a break of either that. It's not on my top of my list at this moment in time. GBP CAD daily time frame. We're inside this demand, pretty much coming into this supply, filled in this imbalance. For me, I'm keeping this as a higher low, daily higher low, daily higher high. So can we see bullishness away from here? If you look at it from this scenario, you can see pretty clear structure. We have higher low, higher high. We've tapped into, obviously they have this 4-hour demand area, which we could still come down into. Let me just see what the 1 hour is doing. Is it telling us anything different? Well, we have this 1 hour supply area here. So market, yeah, market's ugly on here. So what I'd be waiting for is because 1 hour is still in control, 1 hour supply, are we going to just carry on downwards? So, let's see how we react on here. Or can we potentially expect if we get this and we break above these highs, we can then look for, a demand area to potentially look for the longs to carry on long term. So yeah, that's some of the cross pairs that I've been keeping an eye on anyway for today. Let's see what's happening. Nice reaction. I'm going to jump off this call because it's a good timing because we are in that 1 hour demand area. But other than that, guys, I appreciate you tuning in. Hopefully, this has been valuable and give you some insight into what can happen going into Monday, the 23rd of March. We'll catch up as well. We'll catch up in inside the Discord. Take care.